G'day. On this week's edition of Just a Walk Thing, it's episode 19. We're a little bit flat second up, so bear with us, but the content's still there. Butch analyses sort of what makes a stallion. What are the factors that sort of align to the stallions that have delivered over the long term, and what relevance does the Golden Slipper have to it? We had a good look at the AFL, where it's at. Butch gives out two morals, he's called them, at the end of the show for this weekend's football. Jono's fallen into, I think, maybe the worst price on Saturday at Flemington. I don't know if he found it or Caitlin Mallion found it. You can figure it out for yourselves. Do your own research there. And we look back at the Golden Slipper weekend at both Rose Hill, Moonee Valley, and then obviously we look ahead to this weekend where Nailbag Bloodstock will have 4 runners, Windstorm at Flemington, Until Valhalla up there in Brisbane, and Danistar and Just Folk up there in Sydney, should the gods and the rain and the track allow. Enjoy the show. G'day and welcome to Just a Walk Thanks, episode 19. Brought to you by no one in particular. Probably shout out puntingform.com.au. I love them and you should too. You can build your own database and form your own views, which we're going to get to pretty quickly now that I've thought of it. Or you can just use that number and trust it with your life and always give the horse that finishes first the best rating. And good luck winning. We'll get to that later on with special guest who's always here. It's not really special guest, although he is special. Mickey Gannon, big ratings man, big data man. We're going to go head to head. Hopefully we're aligned, but if we're not, it'll be better later on. Also here this morning, actually this afternoon, his head's spinning. He's so shattered he wasn't involved in the Signal chat about the American war plans, but you know, he lives in hope. And he joins us live from the eastern suburbs, the beachy suburbs of Sydney. Rob Roberto, the horses whisper to him, Scurry. We've also got the veteran, the brains, not the brawn, the snowdropper himself, Butch Bourne, and all the way from New Zealand. Our racing manager, the man that keeps you all in the loop should you decide to race one with us at the mailbagbloodstock.com.au, JONO at the mailbag.com.au. Jono Rayner. We'll start with you, Rob, because it's been a big week for Trump. We're not going to talk about Trump off the bat, but I just want to do a bit of a mental health check on you, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. My girl Tulsi's copping it today. I saw on the Twitter, DNI head. But yeah, it's big going on over there.
Elon's got him again.
Oh, yeah. So he's tried to say something. See, he paused a little bit there and was considering saying something slightly negative about the administration, and Elon literally cut it out. So we'll try and establish a better connection if Elon allows with Rob, and then we'll talk about him in a bit. Butch Bourne, joining us from.
Yeah, let's not do politics this week. Just horsing. Big week in Sydney racing. Got the members vote this week. Got my call from a telemarketer helping me to vote yes. Good day.
Did you tell him that you've never voted yes for anything else in your life?
Oh, you got that in early. Look, yeah, I voted yes on the the previous referendum, which is all good. But look, Jack, let's not talk about that. Big week at Rose Hill last week. Back to earth yesterday at Kenzo, and looking forward to a wet Rose Hill for our boy Just Folk, hopefully, and I think General Star. Hopefully that the races will still be on, because as I described to Mark Lamburn, that most Sydney tracks are much like a creme brulee. You crack the top and then it's just goo.
That's a great analogy.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's pretty bloody good.
Here he is, Mickey Gannon. How's the week been? How'd you handle Slipper Day? The Rose Hill and the ATC, if they haven't, they find a way to cause themselves grief with the no vote, the yes vote, and everything else, and they serve up I thought, a horrific track for such a big day. Weren't they lucky that Moonee Valley was on the same day?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bit of a debacle, but no interest like self-interest, Jack. It was the biggest day of punting I've had in my entire life. I'm glad it happened. Blessed for it to happen, and thank you to the curator for making, or just I guess you could say Mother Nature for making it happen. Who knows who causes it? And on top of that, the beauty of having a complete fill up, there's also about 25 other runners that jump in the black book now
Mm.
that can form reversal. And while everyone's sitting there just chipping away at the horses that are favourite in the market, we can go again in 2 weeks' time. So 95% of the racing participants hate it. I bloody love it.
Yeah, Butch, coming at it from a bit more of a participants on the other side of the fence point of view, you know, we might have been lucky enough, hypothetically, to have a horse, on track for a golden slipper, and we were unable to be competitive because of that track. How do you view it? What's your take on it?
Oh, well, that's safety in numbers, isn't there? If you rock up with the only chance of the year you've got, and it goes against you, then lucky enough, the Hawks camp with Briasa and the Galaxy, they've got plenty of other good horses and had plenty of good horses. But if that's your only horse and you draw there and you go back, you got no hope. Well, then 6 months goes down the drain. So you sort of feel for the smaller participants that haven't got the numbers spread, like the big
Mm.
stables.
100%
Um,
agree with you there, Butch, as well. Like, as I said, no interest like self-interest from a punting perspective. An absolute disaster if you own one or train one and you've got to turn up there and you're drawing barrier 15. It's a disaster.
yeah, I think what gets lost in it is whilst there's, say, the Hawks camp or Waller or Kieran, most of those horses, there'll be a bloke that has 5% in that horse.
Hmm.
And that's the only share he has.
Yeah, but let's not. Come on. Jack, you watch enough horse racing. We've all watched enough horse racing. This isn't a once a year thing. These tracks play one way or another every second week. It wasn't not as significant as this, but track bias isn't a new thing. Social media picks up and runs with it more than it ever has. It's the way that most of us may have an edge, to be honest. Now, on a big Group 1 day, I get it. I understand why people blow up more because there's 5 Group 1s and there's one down at the Valley. Happens all the time. Most of the participants, the punters, probably don't see what we see midweek or on a Tuesday or on a Thursday. It's prevalent. It's not just a Saturday on Golden Slipper Day.
Were the conditions tough for the curator, though, to provide a good track, a fairer track than he did?
I'll tell you why.
They did at Rose Hill, because, like, say, Moonee Valley, it's a 30-year-old track.
Yeah.
There was fucking torrential rain on Thursday. I don't know if you were in Melbourne at that stage of the week, Butch, but, like, it was an absolute ton of rain. So there's circumstances that are, like, out of everyone's control that lead to a 30-year-old track going to shit. So, like, I completely sympathise with that view, and I find it fascinating the attacks that track cops, considering those factors, versus Rose Hill in the media. Whilst on Twitter, it cops it, I agree, but in the media,
yeah, but you're not going to get that
Korea.
from you're not going to get that from 5 to 8, right? So, and you're not going to get it from Dave Stanley. So, we commented on it with Gareth, and then end of story, right? So, you're not going to get that from the New South Wales media, you know that. But I think and I'll be interested in Rob because he's at the track all the time and he'll see. But 2 weeks ago when the rails, maybe 3 weeks ago, when the previous meeting at Rose Hill, the rails in a true position, it was really hot, like 36 degrees. And they had to irrigate just to get the track to a point where they could race where it wasn't rock solid, and the rails in the true position, which has been a trend of late where they get off the rail, they don't go near it. So lanes 1 to 6 was completely left. No one went near them. It was essentially quicksand viewed by the jockeys. They were like, we can't go near it. All that lane 6 to 16 was just run by 120 horses. They run over the top of it. Then the rail goes out 3 meters, and there's a patch of 3 lane 1, 2, and 3 that nobody's touched. Lane 4 to 5 or 4 to 13, call it, had 120 runners over it the week before. Like, I don't know, not rocket science, but what's going to be the best lanes?
I think they have to manage it better for
Yeah,
these like big days. So that
yeah,
like they have to be more prepared, more accountable. If it is what it is, like if the track's not up to it, if Mooney Valley, for example, is not up to it, then you need to protect that track so that it's right on as good as they can get it on Cox Plate Day, for example. Like, and if that means you have to miss a few meetings, then so be it. But the politics and the money in the sport, well, they won't be able to do any of this. But
is there anything you could have done with Mooney Valley, just given like the way the track, how old the track is, and the amount of rain they had? Like, is it? I think it was just a bit. They're a victim of circumstance there. They're not.
yeah, because it happens on a Thursday, so I don't think you could
Yeah,
even move the meeting.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and you can't like call off a meeting when the sun's out. I don't think it wasn't dangerous. It was just a track that was like it was like a day three at Warrnambool track at Mooney Valley because of the condition of the grass and the situation and the amount of rain it caught through the week. Um, yeah, it was fascinating at Mooney Valley. What about clean energy? Craig Williams. Craig Williams racing's greatest human being. He had top three worst riding days I've seen from him in my life.
Mm.
Clean energy was like 280 into 220. We took like 270 because it was going to lead and probably win. Rides it cold, three wide cover, worse than midfield, almost back, and wins.
Incredible
Gets away with it, Willow. If that lost like Willow's in all sorts, then he just rocks over and wins a Group 1 in Hong Kong.
on a
Like
maiden
what
horse, was
goes
it?
up must come down, and what goes down comes right back up. Full credit to Craig. Butchie boy, thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that race, the Hong Kong Derby, and the second horse trained by Mark
Mark Nunes.
Newman. What a run! Took its medicine, went back from a bad gate, and absolutely flew. Should like clearly the best horse out of that race going forward. And I did notice what it was by. Now I can't remember something
Lion
insignificant.
Hardy.
Flying Artie, Flying Artie. So yeah, I think it was a homebred trained by some people up in New South Wales somewhere. Um, that's where the horse was sourced from to get to Hong Kong. But
Get out! It's not the Steve Hodge horse.
I think so. Yes, yes, I think that's
Oh
correct.
my God, yeah. Oh, yeah, he sold it for 400,000. He's got the full sister, so he's a real battler, and yeah, I think he's got the sibling that is going to go over there as well. Now I remember that Cap for 8. He just looked like a stayer all day. He was always going around at 20-1 in those Group 1 3-year-old races around here for Waller. But just Craig's ride got him home. But yeah, I'll tell my old man because yeah, they've had horses with Steve Hodge up in Newcastle. Amazing.
Did you
Sells
say
his one good one.
Did you say they got a full sister or brother?
Yeah, one or the other. They've got a full relation homebred.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, today I wanted to talk about because we've just had the Golden Slipper and we've got the Easter sales coming up. I want to have a bit of a deep dive into this purchasing of yearlings, Golden Slippers, and the insatiable need to sort of drive all that from everyone in the industry, which is, paying a lot of money for a colt and winning a Golden Slipper and guaranteeing everything in life, because the stats show that that's not how it works. So just give you a few rough figures here. We've got if you work from the so from modern times backwards, so Farnan and Stay Inside, Golden Slipper winners yet to be determined. So we won't touch on them. They're just beginning their careers. Prior to that, you've had Vancouver, Sepoy, who never really hit the board. Probably the two standouts in the last 20 odd years would be Piero and Sebring. And the correlation between those two have been slipper winners was they backed up and both won the size produce. So unless you can do the double, either winning the slipper or getting placed in the slipper is not seemingly the answer to guarantee you for being a good stallion. Because I think a couple of placed stallions, and Rob, you go back octagonal, and yet when he actually went to start, he sort of missed the mark except for Lonhro, and then Lonhro sort of found his feet. But so it's so what I'm saying is I don't know why everyone drives it towards the slipper, because if you go through, so the Newmarket handicap, which is for the 3-year-olds and up, but generally the older horses. But you look at you only have to be placed in a Newmarket. Spirit of Boom, Box Wedge, Star Spangled Banner, Magnus, Schnitzel, Fastnet Rock, Seed Excel won it, Show a Heart, General Nadim. That seemingly is a better formula for a stallion than going down that 2-year-old path, unless you happen to be quite a special horse, which is, as I say, Sebring and Piero, who were quite dominant. And
Flying Spur back in the day, you went and won an Australian Guineas.
Flying Spur, yep. I did look back at Dan Zero and Flying Spur, but I was sort of trying to keep up with something that Mick Gannon might remember. He probably wasn't even born then.
No.
You weren't around then, Mick, were you?
Oh, maybe a sparkle in the eye.
Yeah. So now here's a bit of a quiz for everybody. We'll go nearest to the pin. So you've got Extreme Choice, who's the up and comer. He's had 5 Group 1 winners so far. I'm Invincible sitting on 15. Not a Single Doubt finished with 13. Written Tycoon sitting on 17 and Schnitzel 23. So what have those 5 horses got in common? Because none of them were slipper horses.
Short-term memory. Forgotten them.
So what does it mean?
What are those 5 stallions who are very, very successful stallions? What have they got in? What's the common thread that they have?
Ran in Victoria. Ran in. Did they all run in Oakley Plate?
I'll say no. Jono, come on, everyone's got to have a go here.
1400 meter run win.
Good lateral thinking, Gano. I like it. Righto, I'll put everyone out of their misery. They all won their first starts as 2-year-olds between September and January.
Early runner.
That is the most common thread between those. So I'm Invincible, Not a Single Doubt, and Written Tycoon didn't win a Group 1. So, don't run your horse in everything and win nothing to try to win a Group 1, because it doesn't matter. That's not the answer to having a successful stallion. There's no need to do high fives after you win a Group 1 and go, we're successful, because you haven't even served a mare, and it doesn't guarantee success. Schnitzel won an Oakley Plate, Extreme Choice won a Blue Diamond. You got some other Blue Diamond winners, Star Witness, Reward for Effort, those sort of horses. But that after doing a bit of a deep dive, not so much in pedigree, which everyone can get stuck on, or how good does this thing look as an individual, more so of race performance.
Who do you think would be a better stallion, Devil Knight or Growing Empire?
Well, I'd have to do some research on that. Let's wait till they finish. I mean, you got the Ole Kirks of the world, which come out and won a Guineas. They may know that they may not have figured. A lot of horses failed in the slipper. but come good as a 3-year-old. So it's not the end of the world.
I recall Fastnet Rock running fourth, being on it each way in the slipper. Came out and dominated as a 3-year-old up against Alingi. But would you say the Coolmore Classic's a better form guide for a stallion? Zoo Star
The old Ascot Vale.
Yeah. Oh, he cost
Um,
Largo won it, $8.
yeah, I think that was did Northern Meteor win that race?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he did. So it's now on Derby Day, but I'd be prepared, Home Affairs bolted in. I'm prepared to say that's the stallion making a race. The year that Flying Artie and Star Turn, they're all there, and then we had the Exceedance, Bivouac, and Cosmic Force here. I just think that's the race.
Yeah. 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 Well, I think when you're sort of when you're trying to do a bit of a deep dive, this is going to sound a little bit harsh, and we're probably going to get rid of a few prospective sponsors here. But what are you laughing at, Gunnar?
Tee it up.
Sorry,
Tee it up.
Tee it up. No, well, I'm just going through. So I've looked at a horse like, got to pick on somebody for an example. So I look at Home Affairs. He ran second at his first start on the 30th of January. So that is pedantic because I said between September and January, and on the 30th of January, he ran second. Like the others have all won in that period of time. His lead up form was good, failed in the slipper. A lead up form was good, failed in the Newmarket. So I'm just trying to drop him into, what makes a good stallion from a racehorse.
You're digging up old graves, mate. I was on him. Number 9, he lost at $1.01, beaten by Zethus or Zuthus, Home Affairs. It was, had me on the floor in a coma. One of the worst beats you'll ever see, like miles in front. So,
massive comeback from you, Rob.
Yeah, so you're right. He almost fits that bill. He's lost by a nose after being, unbackable at the 100-meter mark.
Yeah.
$1.01 at the 100.
Yep. So look, the whole point of this is what I'm trying to find here is, it's clearly not. It's clearly not. If you can draw a line through the pedigrees of, Extreme Choice, I'm Invincible, Not a Single Out, Ridden Tycoon, and Snitzel, then you're probably better than me because I don't know how many generations you got to go back to thread them all in there somewhere. It's probably a little bit of it. What happens is it's maturity, so they pass that on. Obviously, they all actually raced on. I think Ridden Tycoon might have succumbed to a few issues, but they all raced on. Snitzel was placed in the Newmarket, so Snitzel he got in there on a couple of markers, and then we look at then you look at all the potential horses coming through the slipper. Which ones do you want to be on?
I think that Rivellino's Gunner is the most exciting horse out of the slipper.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, I'd probably lean the Devil Knight, but yeah, well, Rivellino was rails and run for a long time, and probably zigged when they should have zagged. Late, you probably should have stayed the inside and would have been a lot closer. But we'll find out in 2 weeks. We'll find out in a week's time, won't we? Back in the size, and that's when you'll get to see. I had him marked as a size horse the whole time, so it'll be a big size. Wadson's still there. Rivellino, nepotism for Uncle Wayne. Plenty of good horses lining up. It should be a good one.
Mick, what would you think about? Will never happen. What would you think about if they swap the prize money for the slipper and the size?
I'd love it. I'd love seeing a strong size.
Yeah.
What would happen? Well,
There'd
one's
be,
at,
there'd
one's
be
at
no
Randwick.
hiding. There'd be no hiding, would there?
No, not at all. No, not at all. And even just the same amount of money would be all right.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. There's definitely enough money that around
Oh, is there?
allocated correctly. If allocated
I thought they were
correctly,
ringing Rob trying to get him to vote yes.
we might just take some out of some of the
You wouldn't sell your house
pop-ups.
if you were flying.
Uh, uh, yeah, I'm not going to get into it.
Righto, where do you want to go now? Runs out of the weekend. You want to roll back to the weekend? I thought Revellino was really, really good. Briasa, potentially
Fangirl.
special. Talk to me, Gunner.
Fangirl was huge. Briasa, yeah. Rivellino was good. Obviously, Tempted and Watson were good. I think Tempted was probably like extremely luckless, albeit Rails and Run was a huge plus, but luckless just ran into a few backsides. Let me just bring up, because it's probably worthwhile for people, if we're going to talk about that, we'll bring up a few runners because there was.
Is Jimmy Starbush, do you know? You got a little bit of an in there. Is it going to like TJ Smith or something? Where have they decided to aim this horse? Because I'd say it was the run of the day in Melbourne again. 2 starts this prep, both extraordinary efforts. What it did at Moonee Valley on that track was quite unbelievable, really.
No idea, Jack. Couldn't
Do you
tell
reckon
you.
they know?
I have a fair idea, I dare say. If you're going to talk about any horses in the stable, you're going to be talking about Jimmy Star, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
big Jim.
Gringotts, that's about one of the best weight for age races in Australia year in, year out, the rider.
Yeah, get over to turn the screen off for a minute. You've just mentioned his name, Gringotts.
Happy with it.
Do you want 5 minutes to yourself, Mick?
Yeah, I'll be back. Gringotts is huge. Fangirl's enormous. She wins that race if the track's half fair. That's obviously the day is long. I had Devil Knight there, Jack. I actually thought Growing Empire improved as well in the Galaxy around a bend. So I think that horse might have a win in him. I can't imagine they'll be going off. He'll be retiring this prep, so maybe in the spring.
Well, he hasn't won a Group 1 yet, so he can't retire. I cannot believe they sent that horse to Sydney. It was the softest, weakest Group 1 all time. Same day, same track and trip that he almost won a Group 1.
Lining up against basically the Everest second and third favourite before this race anyhow, in Private Harry and Briasa.
Unbelievable, to be honest. Incredibly, they really missed the trick, I thought. Rob, talk to us about Gringotts, Growing Empire, Briasa. How are they going? Where are they at from a mounting yard point of view, mate?
I thought Growing Empire was one of the few in the race that I just couldn't have. Happy to lay. Just got a bit sweaty as a 3-year-old. You've got to give him a few extra points because if they do look small, but he just looks small and sweaty. And I know he had the 2 handlers, and I know he's not a straightforward horse, but was very happy to go around him. Private Harry looked as good as any horse can look first up. Just found him, and Briasa, she's just beefed up again. She's always been a lovely moving horse, but now she's turned into a bit of a powerhouse, and she was still a little soft. I always say you don't have to be fit to be fast, and she can only be improved. Gringotts, bless him, one of mine. Surely, we got lucky. Gano, the champion mare was stiff, got out to 550 with Betfair due to the track bias. Chael paraded brilliantly again. So they're three very talented horses, quite obviously. But Gringotts has got to where I think we always had him as a sort of a weight for age horse. Some of those wins that he had, was it the Gong or something? He's got tactical speed. He can do it sort of both ends. He and Jimmy Star, flying the flag for that stable. Now I know Yulon are going pretty well, but I think they bought another dud in this American mare that Nash rode. It was meant to lead. It just looked totally screwed down to me. I'd struggle to find it on a Saturday at Newcastle to look at. Just a very plain type. Looked very fit for a Waller runner. Can't have. And the William Haggis horse, not much better. And I gave that a few extra points just because they usually come over and dominate in our weight for age races. But yeah, didn't think much of that one either. Gano, you know the names of them, but yeah, they were the 4 and the 7 for me.
Full
Four and the
count
sevens.
Felicia.
That's the one.
How much they paid for that? They paid millions. I think they bought another one for like 10 million. Alcohol free, was it? They paid 10 million for that. You know?
Yeah, I'm not sure the price, but it was big. It was more than Via Sistina.
Yeah, and they had another one which ran second to Via Cecina in that race last year, which Pete.
Plus the carousel.
Place to
Yeah,
carousel.
I tried to tell Pete it was no good. He kept, you know, if you're good in this game, you don't listen to anyone. And yeah, he backed it up a few times. You remember that horse, Dicko?
Yeah. It ran against Just Folk the other day.
It's no good.
Yeah, they retired it.
It's
It's done. It's
Fine.
dust. Off to the barn.
Yeah. Any other ones you want to talk about from Sydney? Happy to give you an appraisal if you want it.
Nah, but there could be a little bit of, there could be 2 sets of eyes on ponies there Saturday, so we'll stand by for that
Ooh.
chance.
Bring your
Yeah.
umbrella and your gumboots.
Well, I won't be coming if I don't need them. So,
Let's hope hope you don't have a morning flight. That'll be fun.
I actually don't have one yet. There won't be a morning. We're races 9 and 10.
It's a pity. Wish we were race 2 or 3 because ranch 9 and 10, I've got about $1.40 to not run. Sadly.
You reckon
Just
they'll get through the group ones and then
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry.
But isn't it one of Doncaster Prelude and the races in 7 days time after 7 days after? So if they had any foresight at all, they'd move that straight to race 1.
Yeah. Butch, you got any questions? You got anything else you're bringing to the table today? It sounded like you had a few zingers prepared.
No, I just did a bit of research there, and I'm open to the general public to prove me wrong. But
On snow dropping and blue points, if you're playing
so
at home.
you've only just learnt what it is, haven't you?
Yeah, from an expert, and I'm going to run with it for a fair while.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd open up to this morning and say, "Butch, what's a snowdropper?" I don't know. Like, is one of your kids asking you, or yeah?
No, it's an old bloke I look up to mentioned he was snow dropping before, and I was like, wonder what that is. And anyway,
Yeah.
you guys at
No,
home can
you're
figure
either
out what's happened.
You're either putting it out or bringing it in. Okay. Only 2 things that can happen.
Should we go a bit rare and get a bit wide for a bit? We won't go straight to Donald. Scurry, he really doesn't want to, which tells me that he's worried about where Donald's at.
You won another club championship between shows.
You're kidding.
Yeah, another club championship. Peony had the Shanks, but he's probably the first human being of all time to overcome the Shanks to win a championship, so that's pretty impressive stuff. He and Kim Jong, obviously, he was pretty impressive in his day as well.
Yeah.
But Don,
the Don of North Korea.
Potentially a 45-degree shank with sand wedge. Managed to, I assume, didn't see any more footage post that. I assume he just got up and down out of the ball washer over there.
Yeah. Full credit to him.
No doubt.
AFL, let's touch on it. Rob, conflicted here again. He'd be back onto the Hawks now full time and just completely sack the Dogs is my read, my tip, my prediction.
No, I was on with the Dogs the other night, and I couldn't sleep for a little while. I was a bit dirty with a number of decisions. I thought they were very hard done by. Sam Darcy looks absolutely. I'm off Norton. I'm all Darcy now. So, no, I still got a lot of love to the Dogs. I love Tom Liberatore. I just like the way he goes about it. I think he's a very good player and underrated. But yeah, look, Hawks. Mate, I think you said we weren't going to finish in the 8 or something, mate. But might even beat GWS. We're favourites to beat GWS. I almost looked at the $3 GWS and got on that. I was a bit conflicted about doing that.
It was down in Tassie. That's why they're favourites.
They beat us down in Tassie last year.
Really?
By a goal. They came back from 3 goals down or something and beat us. After that defeat, I got on them at $60 to win the flag, and it never got off, unfortunately.
It's an outstanding round of footy this weekend. Starts tonight, and they're all basically blockbusters until Sunday when I think there's a derby which would be pretty lopsided, and there might be another decent game there on Sunday. Butch, what's your read so far in the AFL?
Oh, just all the reactions to every round so far. Usually takes to round 5 or 6 before everyone settles down. But Carlton beating Richmond beating Carlton, then Richmond just sort of go back to that young side the next week, and Carlton got beaten by Richmond, so they're only just travelling, and they're a few players down. They played Charlie Curnow, who was seriously not fit. Essendon lost two of their best players, came off a reasonable performance against Hawthorn, and completely got ripped apart by
Adelaide, and now they're in a rebuild phase.
a team of absolute monsters they are. I went to the game, and you want to see Darcy Fogarty and Riley Thilthorpe. They are just
Girthy.
just amazing. Fremantle, they can clutch defeat out of the jaws of victory at any stage of they play a game of football, so they're a bit flimsy. That's where, I mean, knowing the history of Freo, well, the Swans got them, and would have been really disappointed hadn't they have got them. Brisbane took 3 quarters to get over West Coast. Valiant, they're having a bit of a go, but it's sort of people underestimate. I think everybody underestimates injury in any sport, and it's no different. So tonight's game is the battle of a couple of teams that have played one good, one poor game, and because Port Adelaide's first game was a shocker, but they've both got injuries, so that'll be a toss of the coin. And Carlton are probably going to get beaten by the Bulldogs because they're Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow down. They're playing Cripps in the ruck until Pitney gets back, so they're trying to kill him. Gold Coast Suns really, if it's their year, they should really turn up and beat Melbourne. If they don't, they're in trouble because Melbourne are just going. St Kilda should handle Richmond because they're tougher. Giants and Hawthorn, good game.
Is Charlie Curnow out for the Blues?
Oh, I don't care if he's in. Doesn't matter. It'd be more value if they played you. So he gets tired at the first. No, he's had 3 operations. It's not his fault. He's a champion player. He's a really good player. But he hasn't done a pre-season, and that's But they've chosen to play him, and that's going to hurt him.
The AFL media's gone in a very different direction this year, I reckon, and more me stuff, but it's content all the same. The complete opposite to racing, but they maybe gone too far. And just when you thought, fucking hell, I've seen a lot of Kane Corns, they whacked him onto the front bar last night as well. So Channel 7 is really playing with their new toy.
Yeah, Kane, he knows how to play every show he gets on. I saw 5 minutes of him and Caroline Wilson, and he just knows how to press her buttons. God, he got it wound up like a. But the best viewing all week would easily have been the segment between John.
Adam Simpson and John Longmire.
Adam Simpson and John Longmire. I get the Mewers and the Myers mixed up, but that was just very insightful. A couple of guys willing to just give a little bit, just a little snippet.
Yeah. It's what racing craves and needs, and they don't know it. But Adam Simpson called the Swans game, the Freo Swans game, and fucking hell, it is like night and day versus everything else on the radio or the TV.
Yeah,
like he is elite.
Yeah. No, it was look, because you can talk for half an hour without actually saying anything, and that goes with any sport or none better than politicians. They can answer 100 questions and not even answer one. And that's generally it's the straight bat most of the time. But I don't know whether they get roped in by anyone. But sort of Horse is still at Sydney, isn't he? He's got a role there.
Not sure. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they gave him a retirement role there just so they wouldn't let him run loose. But he, very, very insightful, good listening. if you're into your AFL and you don't just say who's on that man and tackle him and kick long, stop bombing it. If you actually understand AFL at present, they're a great listen, those guys.
Um, what did you make, Butch, of probably where Gano and I eventually headed, the hair hat Tom Morris with big old Luke Beveridge there on Footy Classified? Felt like that was a really awkward piece of TV and just shows where the game's at right now. Like, if you can make it clickable, please do it on camera, because that was a conversation I thought you should have before you go on.
Oh, I think yeah. So Tom, was quite can we move on? And he was very good, Luke Beveridge, because he answered the question without being derogatory or getting his emotions high and low. But he basically said what you did was unacceptable, and I'm not going to move on from that part of what you did. But if you want to sit in on the press conferences, knock yourself out. Yeah. He was. I think Tom Morris was expecting a hug or something. I don't know what he wanted, but it clearly it was almost a plea, as it clearly bothers Tom, where Luke couldn't give a rat's ass. I don't think.
I think what Tom wants is viral content, and that's probably what he got.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's quite happy to do a hair replacement ad. So
Yeah, full credit to him though. You got to own it.
I'll do
yeah.
it. If you want to shout out to anyone that wants to give me a new head of hair.
Yeah, I thought I'd do it from like 19, but it just hangs on.
Just get a tattoo of a rabbit on your forehead, Nick.
Perfect.
Hey?
Perfect.
Yeah, well, from a distance, it'll look like a hair.
Hey, I'm gonna love you and leave you lads with a few winners.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go on the weekend's racing.
You wouldn't
kick us
believe
off,
it. I've got another podcast to do. We'll go to Rose Hill. Race 5, number 12, Clear Thinking. 3 1,200-metre runs to 15 is probably the minor query, but I think the horse, she's going to love the rain-affected track. So we're going to go there. You're getting around $9. Happy to back her each way. Race 9, number 2, Amenable. Dead Set Swimmer. It was the all-age stakes last year. Magic Time. Rob, you might have been there with under an umbrella. It was hosing. And those two fought at the finish. This is a much easier race than that. I think race 9, number 2, Amenable. Sacrilege. And what's up, mate?
Nothing, mate. It's in the green colours from memory.
Nah, Jack's whispering.
You're missing the horse that really wants
Just
to swim.
Folk. I love it. I love Just Folk. I love him.
If my memory serves me correctly, no, it doesn't. I thought they raced against each other.
No. Big Just Folk fan. I'll be cheering it naturally. I bloody hope he wins. In the last, Cool Jakey. Just sneaky wet tracker. Just sneaky.
Tell you what, I reckon you're off to do a podcast with a bloke that tips a lot of the same horses as you do. One is responsible. We're yet to find out who. But I remember Cool Jakey being a bet last start, maybe at Warwick Farm. I reckon I told Scurry to back it, and he brushed it, and it won. Is that right?
100%. Peace off to race. Yeah, you try to tell me, as I said before, yeah, I could do with listening every now and then. But, anyway, thanks for that, Jack. Peace officer against Stiff yesterday.
Yeah, I think you referenced one T. Pupley, who I just sent a message off before. He's been roaming the streets, doing his best in Melbourne. Said, "What do you got for the podcast? What's happening this week?" He goes, I'll get back to you, mate. I'll get back to you, mate." So look, 5 to 6 p.m. Thursdays, SEN track, the Sydney set. Tune in. Perhaps I'm sure we have a nice set for you this afternoon.
Who you got on this week?
Unconfirmed. Might get Butch born.
Again, I've got a question for you. Can we get Woderton? Can we get him to win a Coolmore or a Newmarket?
I think Woderton will win a size first, and then there will be I think they'd give serious consideration to the horse, depending on how he comes back to obviously Coolmore in an Everest slot. So they want to run one of their own, and then I'd say a Coolmore stud stakes, Butch.
Is it too early to to say that the Everest is not a really good race for potential young colts or stallions?
Maybe. I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah.
I think year on year, it's going to be interesting. This could be one of the weakest we've seen, but it may also depend on how much that Briasa Private Harry, how much those two go on with it.
And how much isn't the really good horse running
Ying Rising
Sunday or something?
But I think if we get a soft 7, is he just not a pen job, or is he a vet tracker? Maybe I've read the.
Well, he's a white Kiwi by origin, so.
Oh, truce.
Isn't he, Jono? No, he's on mute, the champ.
By Sham Express, I think.
Are we talking about KM Rising? Yeah, he's a Sham Express. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
who won a Newmarket, by the way?
Hey, fellas, it's been a pleasure.
Full circle.
Yeah, Mick.
Love it out.
What about Jono? When's Jono going to tip us something? That still expands the wanting, aren't they?
Yeah, come on, John, feed it.
Well, I've got a few for you here. There's a Kiwi filly who won the Oaks on Saturday, just been Like a Lucy, who transfers to Waller. And I think that was a great win. Like, she looked gone. She looked in a world of pain, and somehow she found a way to win. I see Treasure the Moment, who goes around on Saturday, is a very short favourite for the Oaks at this stage. But I think Like a Lucy around $5. And must be a couple of weeks, is it, Rob, the Oaks? Queen Elizabeth Day, I think?
Yeah, it's got to be 3 weeks at least. It's usually the last day, the second day of the championships.
Yeah. Yep. And Flemington this weekend, I think there's going to be a bit of a Kiwi domination, Jack. You don't mind if I tread on your toes a little bit to come into...
No, I just like to have a side bet when you finish, please.
No worries. All right. Race 6, number 7, Son Doot, the Tiakau. Back on, should be firmer ground, back down the straight. Tick for it, $13, don't mind that. Race 7, Alabama Lass comes over from Kiwiland. I think she's very, very good. $2.70. I think she'll be winning. And race 8, number 7, A Tissue, hoping that Pride of Jenny's sort of burst her bubble a little bit with that first up run. I think she'll be going very well. She loves Flemington. She was narrowly beaten. I think Pride of Jenny ran second maybe in this race last year when A Tissue wasn't too far behind it. But yeah, hoping Pride of Jenny sort of goes backwards off that first up run. That's where I'm at.
Well, she'll have a horse that's actually competing with her in the run on Saturday at this stage, so that's a setback for her.
That's a bold statement, Johnny. You're hoping it goes backwards.
Well, I fought my bet, yeah.
But you want it to.
I do.
Right, okay. Just on your Kiwi stable in Melbourne, I think before you launch into that runner of yours, they'd want to get to double figures on the winners to runners ratio. I think they just need a bit of a kick along, Jono.
What are we talking about? Alabama?
We're talking about Sons Dude.
Oh, Son Doot. Oh yeah, wow, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I tuned out. Are you tipping Son Dude as well?
Yeah.
They're just in a flat spot at the moment.
The horse, the stable, the silks, all three? My God. That's brave. That is aggressive from you, John.
Yeah.
If you do want to follow John in there with Son Dude, wait. You'll get $20 when it jumps.
Well, with you.
I wish.
Didn't think
days I miss it a lot.
It wasn't really given much chance in the what's the race it was in? Oakley Plate. Loves Flemington Straight. Loves it a bit drier.
Concede it was a complete forgive in the Oakley Plate. Gets ridden off Mick D on 2 from 2 track and trip, but they're in lower races than this. She was in an Oakley Plate at like a proper race for the first time and started $51. This is no easier. I don't think. Like, there's Jimmy Starr and she's bulletproof. The rest of them were like handicap horse in the Group 1. So
won this race last year, beating Najim Sahel. I presume this is a stronger edition of it. But
well, Oscar's Fortune started 3:30 versus Barraquil last prep. Gavin got the horse off the previous trainer that I don't know mid prep. It's had a now spell. It's first up for Gavin. I think he has his horses sort of ready to go. Mark Zara rides, like it's almost the same price as Sundoot.
Just if you didn't know, on racing.com, she's bulletproof's gone for a spell too.
The the thing with Sundoot, well, the thing with I just I do love a track and trip horse, like a Flemington straight horse. You know,
100%,
they
100%.
they typically the only run it was bad down the straight was when it was on a heavy nine, and it's not going to be that.
Yep.
So
And
Fair.
and makes a
Hey.
good launch too.
I thought that Spacewalk was about the right price, and I'm really excited to see what Oak Hill does. I think it's still scopy. I think it's savage to line every start this prep. I don't think where it's going to be in run's going to be the perfect spot at all down the straight, but I reckon this horse is really, really good, and it's a right stage of prep for it to really explode. Yeah, Oak Hill interests me a hell of a lot, but Oscar's Fortune at like $9.50, $10 is the easiest bet at Flemington on Saturday.
$7 over here, Oscar's Fortune.
It was $10 yesterday.
Might have disappeared on you. Hope you backed it. I think you did, didn't you?
I did back it.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly confirm the price now because I don't want to tell everyone to do something if it's $6.
You did at $10. Did you say Spacewalk?
Yep, Spacewalk, your horse is in. It was $6 the last time I updated these prices, which was yesterday.
$7.50 now. Spacewalk $7. Oscar's Fortune, according to what I'm looking at.
Yeah, my dynamics.
I'll have to have something on Spacewalk. He loves it straight.
Yeah, it loves it
Okay.
straight. That's my note, Rob. And Scurry loves it. That's my other note.
Beast. You know who reminded me a bit of Spacewalk the other day? He's a bit of a. He got beaten by the Arrowfield champion, well, not champion filly, but the really good filly.
Is Finland?
Yeah, those colours. Is it encoded or something? The Michael Freeman in the dark blue colours.
Yeah.
That-
Autumn Miss.
Yeah, Autumn Miss won the race.
No, that's our horse, isn't it?
Autumn
John?
Glow.
Autumn Glow.
Enriched.
Yeah, we got Autumn. There's a bit of a difference.
Enriched.
Enriched. Yeah, he's a absolute beast, that horse. He's still got his nuts. He could make a side too.
That was a
Very
great
strong.
one. Autumn Glow.
Oh, God, look! Do you see Enriched just looked like it was bolting at the 250
Yeah.
with Tommy just swinging on it, and then she just changed leg and just ran him down.
Yeah.
Butchie boy, you got anything for us across the boards there on Saturday?
Righto. I think these are really good plays. $1.70 the Suns, $1.70 the Bulldogs. Not game on that one there. There's $2.70s, good things, $1.50. Yeah, that'll do. There's if you want to weave them into your multis, Bulldogs to beat Carlton, $1.75. And the Suns to beat Melbourne, $1.77.
Melbourne beat none and 3. Ooh, how's the culture going now?
No, they love each other. They love each other, and
Everybody love everybody. Any horses that tickled a fancy for you there across the weekend, mate?
Any ponies?
Yeah, eyes on.
Well, what about when's this? Is this getting out for tonight's Pakenham or not?
Yeah.
Righto. Well, then we go race 2, number 1, Act Natural.
Oh yeah.
How does he map, Jack?
Tricky. Not a lot of speed in that race, so
sit outside the leader.
probably should. With Phillip, you're never really sure though, are you? But they sort of elected to sit. Was it 4 wide or 3 wide? No cover that day. It's Sale second up. So
Yeah. Took over, kicked, then got just run down by the inside running horse who was sitting off them. But
Stackhouse sticks. The horse that beat it was pretty plain yesterday though, Girajala. But I agree, it's certainly the hardest to beat in that race tonight. I thought that it's actually going to talk to you about this. Stokesy's other horse, Blue Wings.
in the same race,
Yeah, jumped out good.
Blue Wings. Okay. Yeah.
$2.
Tell you who's probably going to win again tonight too at the Bermuda Triangle of Form is your horse once upon a time, mate, Shangajare.
Oh yeah, no, she's a she is, and if she draws bad, doesn't matter. She's just a massive, big, striding filly. Just could sit through deep and still win that thing.
Yeah, with Carleen on, you wouldn't rule that out, but I think she'll sit outside the leader, which will probably be Lady Potato Head, and
They're
those
betting
two
two.
probably fight it out. I'm not sure how much Hot Majesty will improve second up, but it is drawn real tricky. So yeah, I think you might have a double tonight.
245.
Um, Rob, you got anything for us at Rose Hill? Any horses you're following other than obviously Joss Folk? Dennis Star.
Not really, mate. You know, we've got to see how much rain we get. It's pretty hard to tip anything. I know Gano's probably, I'll leave it to Gano tipping those wet trackers. Our two should, hopefully the races are still on and, the big boy gets his chance. Wouldn't it be great if he was in the Doncaster on a wet track?
Yeah. Yeah. Dare to dream. Dare to
As a
dream.
rising 9-year-old who still loves it.
Well, we need someone to take over the reins just for the next sort of short period from the stable champion, King, number one forever, Keaty Boy, who ran his last race for us last Saturday at Moonee Valley. It was a shame to see him go out like that, but he's 100% sound, healthy, just not interested in it anymore, and he's getting prepared for a life post-racing and a life that he deserves, John.
Yep, indeed. A bit of possible show jumping. Gavin did say he loves his jumping at home, so let's see.
And he always had that personality. We did that funny walking step thing, he might, might get you some extra points in show jumping. I'm not quite sure how it works, but, he'd chuck a few moves out there before he goes over.
Anyway.
What's the one at the Olympics where they do like the hop sort of skip, that one? He could be good at that.
Like a flying change, it is, John.
There you go. I've heard Caroline talk about those before, so
Yeah, flying changes.
That sounds accurate. Yeah.
Yep. Just like when you're running late to go to your second event. You've got to do a flying change.
Yeah.
Smart.
Keep up, John. Righto, Flemington.
Yeah, it's called dressage, by the way.
Yeah, dressage. My best, race 6, number 1, Oscar's Fortune. Still think that price is juicy enough. I also thought that Gatsby's in race 7 was a big price, and just can't get over. I got to do a little bit more work, but there's no way I won't be way below the market on race 8, number 8, Zardozi. Enormous last start behind Pride of Jenny. Couldn't win from where it was the way the race was run. Provided Deny Knowledge stays in this race, I think it's a very different shape and race for Pride of Jenny. And if those two can punch each other up enough on the front, I think that a horse will be storming over top, and I reckon it'll be Zardozi that started favourite last start against Pride of Jenny, and now it's 4 times the price. That's probably all I got off the cuff for you at Flemington. Anything else we should go over? We've got that horse that we've, to be honest, forgotten about. It's called Princess on Palm. Cheap horse we've purchased, a young horse, a half sister to
Jack and Obey and Gentleman Roy.
Group 1 winner. We intend on racing that filly in either South Australia or northern New South Wales, Queensland. But there's still a bit of water to go under the bridge for a complete decision to be made. If you want to find out first, she's incredibly cheap. She'll go real quick when we do it. JONO, Jono at themailbag.com.au. Gamble responsibly. 1-800-858-858-858-858, or visit the website and have an absolutely phenomenal, outstanding weekend. You've got great racing in Melbourne. You've got outstanding racing in Sydney. You've got a blockbuster week of AFL and NRL. Bye for now.